Can't control your viewpoint or how badly you might dislike me. Hell, I can't control what I did. I talk about that at length in a video titled Bringing Up My Sex Offense, which is made for when people bring up my sex offense to discredit something I'm saying or doing just kind of out of the blue. I don't know why people feel the need to do this or to come in and kind of just harass me constantly saying, "You're a rapist. You are a rapist." Or "You're a sexual predator. You should kill yourself." Or "You're a fucking rapist. I'm going to come to your house. I know where you fucking live and I'm going to fucking kill you. I have a fucking 44. I've gotten death threats. I've gotten people telling me that I should kill myself repeatedly over a period of months. None of that really matters to me because I know what the internet is, first of all. And second of all, I I understand that people either A are going through a hard time themselves and they are wanting some kind of an outlet, a release to get mad at somebody else that they feel like it's sanctioned to get mad at. I mean, people have said, like, "You're a cockroach, you're subhuman." So I guess if they see me as not being a human being like everybody else, then it makes it okay to say whatever they want to say to me and to treat me however they feel like they should treat me. But a big part of it, I think, is that people don't want justice. Really, they want blood in many ways, and the I guess the procedure of acquiring blood is very powerful for them, and it helps them feel a little bit better either about themselves, or maybe they have a fantasy about how it makes them feel better to sort of release their power over someone else. As ironic as that sounds, I mean, that's a lot of the education and the therapy that I've received. So, I mean, I can I can go and take that education and apply it to every action for everybody. Everybody's misbehavior, anybody being violent or bullying or aggressive towards somebody else, or even if it's passive aggressive and you're just kind of being snarky to somebody else. A lot of it, I think, comes from having something happen in your life, like a trigger, anything like getting a raise, getting fired, somebody cutting you off, you know, thinking that you're something that made your boyfriend looking at somebody else, somebody you're in a relationship with. You have a suspicion that they're cheating on you or something, or they're not appreciating you like you feel like you should be appreciated or something like that. And then the way you think about it is either negative or positive. And if it's negative, it goes on to give you really unpleasant emotions. And in order to escape from those unpleasant emotions, you start to fantasize about something that feels good, something where you have power and control. And where that could be anything. That could be you throwing your boyfriend's phone into the toilet. That could be you looking through his phone and violating his privacy. That could be, a guy coming home and just kicking the dog, and kicking the dog feels so good. Or it could be coming coming home and getting on your computer and going, "Yeah, and fuck the French, they're all fucking cock-sucking wankers, faggot French fucks," or "Oh, fucking Polish little toilet cleaners," or something like that, right? Or maybe coming to me and making a comment like that. But I just think, that the people who do this, one, I understand why they might, except in the case of people like Richard Lewis, who is supposed to be like a professional or something. And really, he talks about how there's social justice warriors, I'm pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure he's anti-social justice warrior. But in a way, he's definitely directing mass amounts of people. First by posting my docs, then repeatedly saying, like, Clive, the sex offender, rapist, predator. Yeah, like that guy wants people to view me in as negative of a light as possible because it's a media thing for him. Like it's almost like he belongs on on Roger Ailes. If you don't know who that is, that's a longtime director of Fox News. Roger Ailes' team, his staff, where they can just take somebody and just completely put them through the ringer in the way that they will mention this person all the time to the people that listen to them, and that way everybody can view this person in as negative a light as they feel possible. And maybe this gives the guy power. Maybe this gives the guy, a little bit of influence, and he feels strong in ways that he can't really express, because if he did, he'd be in a Swedish jail. But I mean, for me, I know personally that I can never move on from what I did once. I'm not trying to really move on from it, or deny that it ever happened. I talk about it at length. I make videos talking about it myself. I make posts talking about it myself. I All my usernames have been my full name, really, that I've connected. I could have easily just had an online alias separate to my actual identity, but I chose not to do that because I never wanted to hide who I am, and then try to run away from it, and people will then go and maybe find it and then bring it up and say, oh, okay, you tried to hide this. I don't think that's right. I thought it was more right to be forthcoming. So I've come across people who have not figured this out, apparently, because I can't go anywhere without somebody reminding me, so to speak, as if I've forgotten that I'm a rapist, right? And I think it's cheap to label me as a rapist. It's even more so to ask really filthy questions like, how many kids have you raped? Because I've never raped a kid. But if you ask somebody a question like that, you're certainly putting it in their mind that, hey, this guy is a kitty fucker. This guy rapes kids. It's kind of like asking somebody, why do you beat your wife? You're presupposing that they do. It's a very, very filthy way of sophistry and of putting ideas in people's minds without them being valid at all. It's completely logically fallacious, but people will do it regardless. And I think it's never gotten worse than by the fans of Richard Lewis, by the people that Richard Lewis directs. And worse than anything is I think he really used it to kind of mischaracterize any interaction that we ever had. Sort of like he mischaracterized all of the interactions he had with Loda that completely came out to be just untrue. And the guy's just lying and misconstruing the truth and stretching the truth as he sees fit to it. But this isn't about him. This is about me, really. And about the people who try to affect me day to day, by either telling me like I should go shoot myself in the head or kill myself, or telling me I'm subhuman or I'm scum of the earth or something. I don't get that. I don't understand. And this video is really to them too. It's about me and it's to them, about trying to understand logically where they're coming from. Like, you want this person to identify with being a rapist. Like, you don't want this person to not, let's say somebody was a sex offender, right? And let's say somebody, did something that was really bad and they were trying to get help for it. And they see it as like, this was a choice I made. I don't ever want to make this kind of choice again. I want to be healthy and happy and live a successful life. But everybody around them just keeps holding their nose to what they did, not letting them ever forget it, and basically saying, you're a rapist. That's who you are. That's your identity. That's your label. You are a fucking rapist. You are nothing more than a rapist. You're scum. Do you really think that person is more likely or less likely for recidivism, right? What do you really want there? What are you trying to accomplish when you do that? I mean, I don't understand the mentality or where it comes from whatsoever, because in my mind, I don't think people want rehabilitation. I don't think people want justice. And justice is such a frayed concept. Like, if I go and I rape your daughter, okay, or sister, and then you go and you rape my sister. If I go and rape your sister, that's a crime. That's wrong. That's harmful. That should never happen. But if you go and you rape my sister, that's also a crime. That's also wrong. That should never happen. If I go rape your sister, and then people are like, yeah, I hope you go to prison and Big Black Abed rapes you with his monster dong in your butthole. It's like, are you against rape or for it? Because I really can't tell. You're both disparaging rape in one side and then advocating it in the other. Maybe you're just pro-blood. Maybe you're just completely intellectually vapid, and this is the only thing that makes you feel good, and it itself is actually a harmful thing. It's a harmful choice. It's harmful behavior. But in any case, I didn't understand, why people would want blood like this in the 21st century. But I suppose that if people look at justice in this way, then we're fucked. We're basically fucked. Like I can't control how intellectually developed people are. I can't control what people's education is, or whether people have matured enough to realize, like, if somebody commits a crime, killing them or chopping off an arm isn't going to stop their crime. And actually, I actually talked about this in the I Buy Power videos, about how scholarly journals have found that the severity of a crime doesn't reduce the amount of, like, recidivism. It doesn't reduce other people. People don't say, oh, well, this guy got 50 years, so I shouldn't do this crime. People basically think of it like, in the moment, they're not thinking about the punishment at all. They're thinking about some other things. They're thinking about some emotions that are going on. They're thinking about their life, their release or power or control of the fantasy. They're not thinking about the consequences at all. If they were thinking about the consequences, they'd be fucked. They wouldn't do it in the first place, right? So as much as you up the consequences, you're not going to dissuade the behavior. Okay, I think what the studies did find is that if the frequency, like the likelihood of getting caught, was really high, then that would dissuade the behavior. So if you're really all about preventing bad behavior and you want everybody to live flawlessly without harming anybody, and you think the best way of doing this is through law and order and people not being dicks to people, or whatever you have in your head, then maybe everybody should just get caught, because that would actually be effective, according to scholarly journals. But as for me, I think it's really cheap to label me as a rapist, because it's a present tense. Like, you're a rapist, you'll always be a rapist. That's what you do. You rape people. It's almost like an occupational feel to the word, really. It's like, yeah, I got my brother, he's an accountant. My other brother, he is a nurse. And my youngest brother, he's a rapist. Every week, I don't know, he makes like 5 figures being a rapist. That's not me. That's not who I am. I think it disingenuously, like, attempts to portray me, and this is why it's being said, because it attempts to portray me as someone who currently goes about raping people. Because whoever wants to say this wants to really get across the message that this person is a threat to you and society, and you should be careful with this person, because this person is dangerous. So he is dangerous. He's a threat to society. And that, I don't think that could be further from the truth. The time I forced my hands on someone happened in 2011, and nothing like it has happened before or since. I made a bad choice. I take complete ownership of the bad choices that I made, but it was a thing that happened once, and yet I'm still held to that action forever. And I kind of understand that. I understand that I must, in the sense that I understand that I must live every single day of my life as a diplomat, proving to the community and others that I'm not that type of person. Every single day, not doing something like that. But still, when I read what people write, it makes me feel like no matter if I go on living without hurting another soul, I'm always going to be judged and treated based upon my worst moment. Not even my worst hour, maybe my worst 11, you're talking about 11, maybe 12 seconds of my life where I inappropriately touched someone, an adult, someone older than me, not elderly, but I was 21, she was 23, in a night of massive amounts of drinking, just to say that that's not the person that I am or have been, even though I've gone out drinking on multiple occasions, before this happened and even after this happened, and nothing like it has happened. And I mean, the only thing I could ever ask of people is I'd like to ask you to treat me the way you would like to be treated if you were in my stead, right? But perhaps you believe in the veil of ignorance. The veil of ignorance is a really cool concept. I'll talk about it. Or the golden rule, right? But you believe in it with an exception, and that's where you draw the line. You say, okay, like, Everybody should be treated the way you would like to be treated. I believe in the golden rule, unless they're sex offenders, of course, because I would never do such a heinous thing. Sex offenders should not be treated like I would like to be treated, or like other people would like to be treated. But and that's fine. But to go back to where that's fine, but it kind of always reminds me of this poem that was made by this guy. He was a pastor in Nuremberg, I believe. And he said, first they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Perhaps the concept of this might not be lost on you. I mean, I hope not. But if it is, then I can only plea for you to accept my vow that what happened in 2011 is not who I am by any circumstance. I'm not a believer in sexually assaulting other people, and I just want to move on with my life. Those 30 seconds do not define who I am. They don't conclude my life, and I'm not going to allow them to be all that I am. But if you'd like to discard any good foot I put forward, any attempt that I make to contributing to a discussion or anything in life, if I can't reach out to eat something or to go somewhere without you irreverently bringing up the context of something that I did in 2011, trying to hurt me in any way possible, or trying to call me a sex offender or a rapist or scum of the earth, or saying that I should kill myself or that I should be killed or that you have my address and you will kill me, then fine. I only ask you to turn around and think of the absolute worst thing you've ever done, and go about judging and labeling yourself as that in all of its glorious irrelevance. Every time you go to do anything, say anything, or call yourself a liar, call yourself a cheating scum, call yourself a thief, if you've ever stolen anything. I think most people have. But that's not really the point. The point is, even if you're doing this, I want you to ask yourself why you're doing this, first of all. And second of all, if it's healthy behavior, if it solves anything. And even for yourself, what good do you get out of it? What pleasure do you derive from it? If you could have, and it's going to be different for everybody, but if you could just have a moment of self-reflection when it comes to that, hey, I think that might do us both some good. But I definitely did want to talk about this concept of justice, of like people wanting to hold me to a certain, I guess maybe they want to hold me to hold me accountable, maybe, or to hold me to kind of like, they want to punish me further, like I hurt them personally. So they want to go out there and really make sure that I am feeling as bad as possible, because that would just be fantastic. Another aspect that I think about it might be, is people just actually don't like what I'm saying. And if you, like, it almost to the extent of like, if somebody did something that really ticked you off, you would just try to say whatever you could to hurt that person. You would just try to say, like, whatever you think, you'd start like working your head of like, all right, where are they weak? Like what have they done that I could really attack them on? Like, oh, okay, he's ugly, she's fat. Let's see. Okay, this guy's short, I can attack that. And if it's that, if that's what it is for you, if that's how you live your life, and this is just an extension of that, then okay, that's, I mean, then I understand. Then it doesn't mean nearly as much as I could ever think it does. But in terms of justice and the justice system, I don't. If that's the way you're thinking about it, I actually don't think that the way people think in terms of like, the more we punish somebody, the better off things will be, or will dissuade that behavior. That's not scientific at all. That's not scientific evidence based at all. There's no evidence at all for that. The evidence is actually on the other side, The evidence is on the side of, the likelihood of getting caught. The evidence is on the side of people don't actually repeat these kinds of crimes to the extent that they repeat other kinds of crimes. The evidence is based on the fact that the people's environments are what cause and engender these kinds of crimes. And it's the same for any kind of misbehavior. But I really don't understand where people get off trying to be the justicar of the universe, where they feel like it's their job to impose punishments on everybody who has ever done anything. But if that makes you feel, like you're in control of something, some semblance of power, on some respect, then great, fantastic, great job.